Hi everyone, welcome to my list of what I think, in my personal opinion, are the 10 best books for financial advisors and planners. So I'll be going over the 10 of non-study books that changed my life as a financial advisor. The key thing about advising people is that so often for those starting in the profession, the focus is on exams and getting qualified. That there's a misconception that getting qualified means you're a good planner. And honestly, I would say that once you're qualified, you're about 30% of the way there, if that. The rest you're going to need to absorb from your day-to-day interactions with clients, learning the profession, potentially even dropping some of the nonsense that the industry feeds you. In fact, it's quite funny, just so much focus is on financial products, and then you get out into the real world and it's like, oh right, only a small fraction is what the job's about. I just want to stress that just because you learn the technicals or pass a few exams doesn't mean you'll be any good at advising people on their money, which is the most important element of the job. So these books specifically aren't study books, but ones that have helped me personally understand the more nuanced elements about dealing with giving advice to real people. And there's a link in this video if you want to find more about the books. So in no particular order, here are the books on my list. The Geometry of Wealth, Brian Portnoy. This is a brilliant book written by Brian Portnoy, and he's a financial expert and academic, and it explores the connection between money and happiness. So the case in the book is that while wealth is often seen as a means to an end, people should instead focus on creating a fulfilling life that aligns with their values, and then build wealth to support that life. So the book uses the metaphor of geometry to explain the relationship between wealth, purpose, happiness, and it provides some practical advice on how to live a more fulfilling life while still building wealth. Brian actually came up with one of my all-time favorite quotes, which is, "True wealth is the ability to underwrite a meaningful life." And the book encourages readers to kind of adopt a more holistic approach to money and to view wealth as a tool for living rather than an end in itself. And this great quote, which is, "When it comes to financial choices, simple conquers complex all the time." So I think any advisor who's worked with clients and firsthand seen the impact on how emotive money can be would really benefit from some of these insights. Number 2 is Nick Murray's Scripts. And it would have been remiss of me not to mention Nick Murray somewhere here. This guy's kind of like the advisor's advisor. And shout out to David Hearn at Finatical who helped me get both these books. Now, I do warn you, getting Nick Murray books are expensive, but I think they'll be something that will sit on your shelf as an advisor for potentially the next 30 plus years. And they are something that I go back to and I flick through as a timely reminder of what we do, the power of sticking to a plan, and why global equities are often the key to financial security. I will also mention this other book that I've not included in the list, which is Game of Numbers. And this is also a good pep talk for financial planners in the first few years of their journey, and just talks about that initial prospecting phase I talked on my last video. Number 3 is Ask by Dan Solin. So a great sales book for financial planners. It contains the one secret that will be more useful to clients than all your other study books combined, and that is ask. It talks about that when we empower others to talk about themselves, the brain activity is similar to when people are engaged in something that's pleasurable. So talking about yourself releases certain hormones that make you feel good. So asking good questions can project traits of likability and trustworthiness onto the person, which is clearly a good thing if you're an advisor. Anyway, on the book, Dan goes through kind of various findings about how he's increased his personal level of happiness and deepened his relationship by asking good questions. And it also provides guidance on how to build quite a simple low-cost investment portfolio tailored to individuals' needs and goals. But the overarching message is that investors can take control of their financial future by being informed, asking the right questions, and making informed decisions about their investments. Okay, number 4, oversubscribe, Daniel Priestley. Now, as a financial planner, if you want to be successful, you are going to have to become a good marketer and business person in your own right. And I love Daniel Priestley's books for a bit of a starter for this. So Daniel Priestley is an entrepreneur and he's a business advisor, and this book focuses on the concept of creating a business that's in high demand. And it argues in the book that many businesses struggle because they're not in high demand, and it provides practical advice on how to build a business that is oversubscribed. And in the book, it outlines a 4-step framework in creating that oversubscribed business, as far as developing a unique message, building a community of loyal customers, creating a product or service that solves a specific problem, and then developing a sales and marketing strategy. And in the book, Priestley kind of emphasizes the importance of building relationships with customers and creating a business that's focusing on value rather than just simply making profit. And the overarching message is that businesses that are oversubscribed have a unique advantage in the marketplace. And by focusing on creating a business that is in high demand, entrepreneurs can achieve long-term success and growth. Okay, this is one of my favorites in the list. Alchemy, Rory Sutherland. So I actually listened to the audiobook, which by the way is great because it's read by Rory. And I actually think this might be one of my favorites on the list because it's really helped me understand the other side of being an advisor that you don't get in the textbooks. So Rory, if you don't know, is a TED speaker, an advertising expert. As a person, he's funny, deeply entertaining. But the book explores the power of subjective thinking in business and life. And Sutherland argues that many of the most successful and innovative businesses and individuals have succeeded by using creative and unconventional thinking to solve problems. And also explains the importance of understanding human behavior and psychology and how businesses can use this to make more effective products and marketing campaigns. And this really speaks to kind of the advising stuff, which is that, look, optimizing numbers is in many ways just a load of rubbish if we can't manage the person. When I listened to this book, I kind of reflected on how we as an advice profession, we haven't quite really nailed our offering to clients in general, which covers both the behavioral aspects and also the planning aspects, and that we could go a lot further than we're doing already. And that's not just by being a behavioral advisor, because there's sort of traditional finance which thinks that we're all kind of mean various optimizers, we make rational trade-off decisions at all times. And there's kind of like real life, which is that, look, we're behavioral creatures and we make calculations in our brains which might not make sense on a spreadsheet, but have been driven by many hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Okay, number 6, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. Now, this is a bit of a typical one, but if just in case you haven't read it, it is probably, in my view, the best holistic view on the intersection between money, psychology, and life. And I've waxed lyrical about this book loads before, so everyone in personal finance has talked about this, but on this occasion, if you've not read it, believe the hype. And I just think it's a fantastic mix of memorable stories, how we as humans interact with this thing called money, and it explains our complex and often irrational relationship that we've got with money. And ultimately, the overarching message is that, look, if we can understand our psychology behind money, we can help make better decisions. Okay, number 7, Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. So this one's quite a heavy read, but I just think this is one which is really worth knowing, and it will help you understand your own and your client's thinking process. It's quite a heavy read, but it's an excellent background on how the mind works, which is really important to be an advisor. And it's just based on Kahneman's research, which says that there's 2 systems of thinking. System 1, which is intuitive, emotional, and fast, and System 2, which is more deliberate and analytical and slow, but takes a lot more effort to engage. And Kahneman argues that people rely on both systems of thinking, and that understanding the biases and heuristics that influence decision making is really crucial to help us make better decisions in life and business. There's lots of practical advice as well, how we can overcome these biases and make better decisions. Okay, number 8, Changing Gear, Jan Hall and John Stokes. So this is one that I've often gifted to clients who are just about to retire, especially if they've been really career focused, because the book is quite an accessible and practical look about how to step away from a full-time career which has been very full on and to transition into a new pattern of life and work. Changing Gear looks at why work is such an important part of a person's identity, and it's filled with case studies of people who've transitioned from one career to another or stepped back from work to embrace retirement. And it kind of shines a light on the underlying and sometimes unconscious psychological and social dynamics that are involved here. It offers some insight and advice and a practical 8-step transition plan. And it also provides a bit of a roadmap for the future and the opportunities that might bring. So yeah, if you're someone who's about to retire, and it's just about tackling those people who are about to retire and basically going from perhaps a team of people who are relying on them to not being able to get a plumber to turn up on time. Number 9, Advice That Sticks, Moira Somers. So Moira Somers is a financial psychologist, and the book is a practical guide on how using an advisor can implement a structure so that the clients actually take the advice, which is the most important bit. You're an advisor at the end of the day. You're not as good as the recommendation you make. You're as good as the recommendation that's followed. And it doesn't work if the action doesn't follow it. Anyway, the book explores a lot of challenges that people face in implementing financial and also medical advice. And that can be resistance to change, information overload, conflicting goals and values. And it addresses the psychological and emotional factors that can influence our financial behavior, as well as strategies for removing some of the common roadblocks, whether that be procrastination, anxiety, or a lack of confidence. Anyway, the key message here with Advice That Sticks is that if you can understand the psychological and emotional factors that influence this behavior, advisors can help their clients achieve long-term financial success and well-being. Number 10, and I did an episode on this, which I'll just link now if you want to watch it. Happy Money by Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton. So I would argue that if there's one thing that you could do to change your life to make it better today, It's that knowing how you can spend your money so it supports your happiness instead of detracting from it. Because our society has an endless array of things that are marketed at you 7 times a day normally before you've had your breakfast. And this book helps provide a framework just for thinking about what you can buy that will actually potentially make you happy. Because look, money is just useless unless it's used as a tool to make your life better. So if you're still desperate for more books, I've got one video up here about some other more overrated books in finance. Maybe you're wondering, what is a day in the life like of being a financial advisor? Well, I've got the perfect video for you as well. Thanks for watching.